the most somber podcast this side of the Mississippi. Oh, how the turntables, in the famous words of Michael Scott. A week ago, some of us were dancing on the Steelers' grave, and now we're just all in shallow graves side by side in the AFC North Forest.
That's right.
So it's a
That's
it's
right,
a
Joey.
lonely time. There's only 3 football games left this season. There won't even be a sham of a Pro Bowl. Um, and none of them will include an AFC North team. How you doing there, Chad?
I have to I have to say that like it is a little somber because it would be cool to have an AFC North podcast for a conference championship for I believe the first time in history. I'm always a fan of history. Unfortunately, this week the Browns had to be playing the Chiefs, who are my adopted team via my mother's fanhood, and the Ravens are your team. And I don't think I could live with an off season in which the Ravens won the Super Bowl now that we do this podcast and text all the time. So even though in my heart I like watching the Ravens play football, I just have to hate them. I have to cheer for them to lose because I can't take it if they win. So the scales of justice are balanced. It's a good day. What are you drinking to celebrate? Or whatever
Um,
you're doing. Morning.
Morning. I still have some dragon's milk left, so.
Is it the same one you poured last week?
No. So after I bought it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like read the box and see what it's about. And the backstory behind it was like dragon's milk is good for like the end of a journey, and so I couldn't use that, and I had to make up some other shit to talk about. I was like, can't talk about the end of a journey. The Ravens are in the playoffs still, but now it is truly the end of a journey, and whether you think that journey deserves uh, comfortable, rewarding respite or not, we have to find our way there because there's no sense in staying angry.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if I've proven anything on this podcast, it is that I will treat myself to a delicious beverage under every single circumstance, from horrific, embarrassing, tragic loss to unparalleled franchise start in the history of national football. So it's all the same to me, which is why I doubled up today for all you guys. Mostly me, though. I'm really excited. This is just such a great beer. This is the Lawson's Finest Liquid, which you've seen me drink on this podcast a few times. This is their maple brown ale, but it's been aged in Whistle Pig, which is a local distillery, rye barrels. It's just so rich and magnificent, Joey. I'm very excited to drink it. But first, I have something really special for you and my Baltimore people.
Oh
This
no.
is a beer called Tropical Graffiti from a Black Flannel Brewing out of Essex, Vermont. Katarina Sour. You're going to like this, Joey, a lot. You're going to really like this.
Is it
Am
purple?
I, oh, it
Cool.
is. Ah, the blood of the vanquished ravens. Like all, like all warriors, we have to truly savor. That's like a Joey pour right there. Oh
Yeah,
my
it is.
gosh.
I remember my first fucking beer. Jeez.
Yeah. You can't ruin this moment for me. You can't ruin this. Ah, freshly deceased ravens. Mm. Ah, nothing's like it. Nothing's like it. So, with that in mind, we don't want to bury the lead. So, we're not going to talk about the Ravens yet. There is big news in the AFC North this week, Joey. We'll get the Bengals out of the way. They're doing some coaching staff maneuvers. So, this week, we talked about the big ones last week that are exciting, like the promotion of the wide receivers coach and stuff. But they did hire a defensive line coach, which used to be the strength of the team. So hopefully it can get back to it. They've got DJ Reader. We'll see if they bring Geno Atkins back. These are guys that, they used to be the foundation of a bad defense, but we thought they were good. I don't know if they ever were, but we always thought it.
Mm-hmm.
Marion Hobby will be the new Cincinnati Bengals defensive line coach. He used to coach the Dolphins for the last 2 years, and they fired him. So I'm sure he's great. Um, no, people that are good at their jobs get let go in the NFL that are capable. So he's coached for also the Saints in 2006 and 7, and the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2017 and 2018. They had a pretty great defensive front. So with talent, he's capable of doing his business. And when he wasn't in the NFL, he was coaching for Clemson, and they usually have pretty bright people over there. So we'll see. Bengals, keep an eye on their defensive line. We probably won't talk about him again until, I don't know, he gets fired. Steelers. There are articles that say things on the internet like Steelers facing coaching exodus. So it's a little bit dramatic in Pittsburgh right now. Randy Fichtner, offensive coordinator, was not fired, but the Steelers typically do really short contracts for most of their coaches except for head coach. So his contract ended and he just didn't have it renewed. So the search is on for offensive coordinator, but it's pretty well understood that it's probably going to be Matt Canada, who you've heard about a little bit from us this year. He was their quarterback's coach, but he had some influence on the offense in the form of that pre-snap motion that we love to talk about. So I am very excited about this possible hire. He's a young guy. I think he's a smart guy. I think he brings a lot of the things that a team that thrives on tradition and consistency like the Steelers doesn't have, which is some of the new creative mindset. So I'm excited about it. Do you have any thoughts on Matt Canada as a possible offensive coordinator for the Steelers?
In Steelers tradition, seemingly, Matt Canada is from the University of Maryland immediately before he joined the Steelers staff. And I think something that we're not accustomed to seeing from the Steelers is somebody bringing kind of like the college innovation. That's typically where a lot of the innovation starts as far as strategy goes, and then you get players in the NFL that don't or haven't run typical pro style schemes, and then these college guys are perfect for bringing schemes that the players are good at and accustomed to. So could be good. See more pre-snap motion.
So we'll see. I mean, it hasn't been officially announced, and the Steelers have done weird stuff before. The Mike Tomlin hire was very surprising when it happened. So sometimes people think they know things with the Steelers because they're a slow-moving ship in many ways, and then they just are really out of left field. But it seems to be the case that he will be the offensive coordinator. They also had a number of other coaches leave, so there's going to be more hires. Their offensive line coach left, Sean Surrett. So I've been a little bit critical of him when we talk about him on this podcast. He followed in the footsteps of Mike Munchak, worked with Mike Munchak when the Steelers' offensive line was really good. The Steelers like to have two offensive line coaches because in the offseason, it's one of your biggest groups of players. There's sometimes 14 on the 90 whatever man roster, so it's hard to really watch everybody. So one guy would do the inside guys, another guy would do the outside guys on drills. So I wouldn't be surprised if we only really hear about one. I don't know if the Steelers have two right now, but that was the tradition. And then their defensive back coach, Tom Bradley, and their tight ends coach, James Daniel, and their are also gone. Keith Butler, though, defensive coordinator, 1-year contract. As I mentioned, that's pretty traditional. So we'll see what happens. The Steelers said they're not going to announce who the offensive coordinator is until they've decided on their offensive line coach. And that's generally because their offensive line coach is also their run game coordinator. So that's the person that's designing all that. So they want them to be working well together. So we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out and who gets those jobs. And if the Steelers offense for, I don't know, the first time in, well, I'll just say like 12 years, overachieves based on talent. They have not done that in a long time. So it's an exciting time for me to see a little bit of transition because I think in many ways the Steelers have very much been talent driven and not scheme driven.
Alrighty. Well, I think that sums up uh, our news and notes.
Yeah, our lead story.
What do you say?
Steelers need a defensive backs coach.
Shall we do this obituary?
Let's do it. I can't wait to. Don't. If you're gonna cry, make sure you improve your video feed because I don't know if I'll be able to make it out here on the on the video feed. So, yeah, lead us through it, and Ravens, Bills,
Yeah,
big week, big
Saturday
exciting.
night, Orchard Park, New York. Two young guns from the same draft class, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, offensive fireworks. Two
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
offenses. Everything's about the offenses.
mm-hmm.
Uh, both teams passed for like 200 yards on the dot, and the final score was 17-3.
Brutal.
So, the I don't know how I even want to approach this. The game started. The Ravens got the ball first, and they had a classic Ravens drive, a smash mouth. I don't know if they even called a pass play on the first drive. It took them a while. Um, so
Yeah, I don't know.
it was like a 12-play drive. It took 7 minutes, and it culminated in Mr. Automatic.
Oh
Al
yeah.
Michaels said, "This guy never misses." And Justin Tucker doinked a kick from 41 yards off of the left upright. He got that like Vietnam flashback look on his face.
Yeah. Where his eyes get real wide. I was gonna say he looks like any blonde girl in a horror movie when they open the closet.
Yeah. Yeah. And it happens every time he misses a field goal or something. Like, he
Yeah,
gets
once
that
a year.
look. Um, so that was not ideal, and it was, in hindsight, kind of our first sign that, probably just wasn't the Ravens' night. It definitely turned out that it wasn't the Ravens' night.
Sure
And
did.
the way that this game went is very reminiscent of how they've been losing the big games. Um, Lack of converting, um, not a uncharacteristic inability to capitalize in the red zone. Though when I feel like I don't typically feel like the Ravens live on the edge. Like, we talked about the Steelers offense earlier in the year, and how the way that their offense was, the 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 room for margin was very small. The margin for error. And I don't typically feel like the Ravens offense has been that, but maybe it just is. Maybe the nature of having a run dominant offense is like you're kind of on the verge of a drive dying at any moment because you're not accustomed to getting 8 yards when you need 8 yards. Like, I don't know, because no matter how good of a run offense you are, you can't run on 3rd and 8 like
Right.
reasonably. And so then you're kind of playing left-handed when you start a football game with like 11 straight runs or whatever it was.
Yeah, they did at least have one pass on that opening drive because it was a cornerback blitz that kind of stalled it out, that got him into that third and long situation, and that led to the field goal. It was a package that Buffalo had a lot of success on, bringing that
Mm-hmm.
nickel rusher, especially from Lamar's blind side. But I wasn't sure if you'd go 30,000 feet this early in the podcast, second drive style, but I think for me, the margin for error for the Ravens is similar to the Steelers, but different because they're so dominant when it's working that it looks like there's a lot of room, but they are very dependent on explosive runs. I think like very few teams can systematically have like really long drives, and the Ravens could last year, but like it wasn't, they were getting chunks, like they were getting 10-yard runs,
Yeah.
12, like
Yeah.
pretty consistently. And on this first drive, I wrote it down, they
Yeah.
had 3 or 4 straight like 8 to 12-yard runs.
Right out of the
So
gate,
it's not,
like to start that
yeah,
drive, it was big runs.
bingo. So it's not like they're working the chains really. So it's the same like as the Chiefs, where like you just get long yardage. But like you said, on third down, it's trickier. And look, it's going to be really tempting to call Lamar a running back right now. Look, he's not a running back, but the bottom line is like he likes to throw the ball in advantageous situations just like anyone else. So when people don't know he's going to throw the ball, he can do play action and like throw a ball down the seam. But if they know he has to throw, you can pack the middle of the field, outside leverage, force him to make a pinpoint back shoulder or throw like right at the spot that he needs to. And it's just not the strength of his game yet. Um, he's got a strong arm and he's capable of being accurate. So I think he could learn to be better than he is now. But that's the margin of error, right? Like how many third and sevens can Lamar convert?
Yeah.
And Buffalo won first down. They won first down hard in this game after that first drive. Like it was a mess. I think actually I had a stat. They had 10 rushes for 18 yards on first down after the first drive. I think that came from the film study podcast, the Baltimore one. So like that just makes them the Steelers at that point. Like,
Tough. Yeah.
like yeah, it's bad. Um, so yeah, it's a shame, man. Um, I think that the key. I don't know how much you want to talk about the drives. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
we
we
can
could
do.
continue. I mean, there really weren't that many big spots in this game. It was
It was really all right after halftime.
credit to the
That
defenses. Yeah, yeah.
that's
So,
the
the Ravens missed a field goal. Then the Bills and the Ravens traded some punts. Uh, the Ravens punt was the first punt of the night. Was like a 25-yard punt. Really fucking piss poor punt.
I wrote down 18 just to make you mad,
It
but it was
might
really
be,
bad.
might have been, yeah,
it,
8.
it was
It was really bad. And initially I was like, oh, like the wind is this bad? But I mean, every other punt got off just fine the rest of the night. So I think Sam Cook just fucking shanked it, which is even more
yeah.
frustrating because like we just talked last week. Was it about the special teams unit for the Ravens?
Well, the strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf, right?
That's
They
right.
all went down together today.
So really super shitty punt led to a 5-play 28-yard drive for the Bills that ended in a field goal. So
15 of which was a roughing the passer penalty.
there you go. Oh, do we want to? I mean, props to Josh
I'm just
Allen. It it was it was a phenomenal performance to draw a penalty on that. He got like two-hand pushed and like both arms flailing. I mean, you do what you got to do. Like savvy for a young guy to sell it like that, and
I thought this was the moment that you were going to start hating the Bills. I really did. And you, in our text, have not started hating our Bills, which I feel like is a little inconsistent for you, but you get to like who you want to like. This felt like a classic LeBron James flop to me. Like he's too big and strong to flop,
Oh
but
yeah,
he just gets, but he just gets sick of it. So
like
he's just like, well, everybody else gets to get this call, so I'm just gonna fall
yeah.
down.
And if it was like Kirk Cousins or somebody, it'd be like less absurd, and like I'm I'm even okay. Like it's gamesmanship to me, right? And so like I in the moment, in the heat of the moment, I was like, look at this soft bullshit, fucking Josh. Like have some balls, right? But it's gamesmanship, and
Takes some pride. So
and what makes it so egregious is like watching the tackles that he breaks, like in the pocket
yeah,
and like
oh
taking
yeah.
on linebackers when he's running and stuff. It's like, oh, dude, come on. Like he's as close to like Cam Newton as there is in the NFL. He's not quite the size of a Cam Newton, but like he's pretty much as close as anyone in the league to Cam Newton.
But just so we're clear on this, it was a it was a two-handed push. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't like
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it,
I
it
mean,
wasn't it wasn't no contact like at all, but like it was greatly embellished. And
mhm.
so that's how I'll leave it. I'm okay with him doing it. Just like don't blow smoke up my ass and be like, "Oh yeah, that was roughing and that player was undisciplined." Like
Yeah.
get out of
Well,
here
we'll see.
with that.
There no fines have
No
been levied
fines, yeah.
as of yet, as of yet. So we'll see what the NFL on second look decides there.
So the Ravens answered the first points of the night by the Bills with a 1 yard 3-and-out. That's sick. Um, and then, so the Bills had great field position again. Had another short drive and missed a field goal this time. So we got missed field goals everywhere. The Ravens then answered with a short drive of their own following a missed field goal. And Tucker missed his second field goal of the night. Is the first time that Justin Tucker has missed two field goals, both shorter than 50 yards in a game.
Do you want to just howl at the moon right now?
He's missed two field goals before, but normally it's because like the Ravens are
Yeah.
at the end of a half taking like 59-yard dong shots to just to see if they could get some points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So trading punts. The Ravens finally get on the board with the field goal with like 8 seconds left in the first half. Fine little drive, right? The Ravens got the ball back with like a minute. Drove down like 50 yards, got into field goal range, and Justin Tucker rewarded them for finally hitting his third field goal attempt of the night, which was like a chip shot. And halftime it was 3-3. So if you're the Ravens, like a lot of things went wrong for you. The punt and the missed field goals. The offense after the first drive didn't really look crisp, but the Bills hadn't done anything on offense most of the first half, right? So their longest drive of the first half was 38 yards, and their only scoring drive was 28 yards. And so, like, you feel real good about the defense. Stephon Diggs was, like, getting his, but
Yeah, he was wide open on one of the drives that you kind of skirted through because of the missed field goal. He left Peters in another time zone.
it was a double move.
Um, yeah, and Allen overthrew him.
Yeah, and
Um,
Allen overthrew a lot of people, and I don't know if he was just, like, juiced up about the game, how, like, young players get sometimes, or if it was the wind.
yeah, I think the win was like under broadcast by the booth. I think it was like a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
and it affected Lamar a little too. But Josh Allen
Yeah.
also, he's just trying to cut it through, not putting as much air under the ball as he normally would, and yeah, a couple overthrows. Most of
Yeah.
them were into double coverage, so it was probably for the best. But that one was a
Yeah.
guaranteed touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
then
yeah,
go in the same direction. The Ravens missed one late in the fourth quarter too, like that on fourth down.
hmm
Um,
yeah. So leading into the second half, I just want to give you one statistic because this first drive is a big deal. Um, Devin Singletary, the Bills' starting running back, had one carry in the first half.
yep.
So he's sort of hidden. He's hidden backstage. He's there. He's in the back pocket. Doesn't seem like he's in the back. They're not a very good running team, but he is.
Yep. And so the Bills come out. The Bills receive the opening kickoff and put together a really impressive drive. Um, they go 60 something yards in like 5.5 minutes. Uh, Diggs had a couple catches. Singletary had a 9-yard run or
He had
something like
a
that.
number. Yeah, he had a number of good runs, and it also set up a play action on a third and short that they leaked it out to the tight end that ended up being a pretty good game.
That
So
was a big chunk play. Yep.
they really kind of changed their offensive philosophy well on that drive, similarly to what we've seen the Ravens do a couple times in key moments. So
Yeah, and that's something as far as like head coach hunting around the league goes. That's something Brian Daboll's really good at. He's really good at adjustments. That we watched the Steelers game. The Steelers gave Josh Allen fits in the first half, and
yeah,
the Bills made some really nice adjustments to some of the blitz type stuff that the Steelers were doing, and they were able to move the ball in the second half. But that was really the end of them moving the ball. It was, I mean, the Ravens have done this multiple times this year where, like, you come out of the half, like, with a renewed game plan and it works, and then you kind of stall out. There were only 2 drives in the third quarter. So,
do you feel any need to talk about the touchdown play itself? It's a kind of an unusual situation for the Ravens defense. They were it was a bunch set, and the Ravens
yep, at the
only
top of the
had,
screen
yeah. So the Ravens only had 2 defenders up there,
on 3
and the
guys.
Bills had 3. So Josh Allen just turned and threw the ball to Diggs, and the
It's like a
first 2
bubble
receivers.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty unusual for the Ravens to not. They're usually just so well coached, and Chuck, Clark is such a good communicator and everything that it's just not a situation that happens to them very often. So
Yeah.
I didn't notice it at the time, but I heard it on a couple podcasts. Now, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
how
I
frustrating
did.
it was.
I did notice it as they were lining up for the play, and I was like, "Well, I guess they're playing like a zone, and like hope they do their pass offs well." And then it was just like, "Oh, this is what's happening." Okay.
Yeah,
So
there's not enough guys.
yeah, props for the Bills for just noticing it and exploiting it. And the Ravens answered with a little drive of their own, a little dink and dunk, pretty slow down the field, but overcoming some sacks. Drive down into the red zone. You're feeling good. Second down happens. And on second down, Tyree Phillips and J.K. Dobbins both whiff on Jerry Hughes, who's coming on like a stunt right up the middle of the pocket. And he's hanging off of Lamar as Lamar tries to make a throw to Hollywood Brown, who was running like a short crossing route.
Mm-hmm.
That was wide, bare ass open. Like, so unbelievably wide open. It's
I thought
fucking
Marquise Brown
incredible.
didn't get open. It's impossible. I
And
thought he didn't get open.
the only Greg Roman got him open. And the only reason that this is so significant, so Lamar tries to make the throw, but he kind of gets flushed towards his right and then tries to throw it across his body, and the ball is low and behind Hollywood. He basically kind of like throws Hollywood back into coverage. The closest defender, though, was actually the guy that was covering, like Andrews was running like a hitch in the middle of the field. And the following play, the Bills run a little zone in the red zone. It's third down. The Ravens are down 10-3, and Taron Johnson, is that his name?
Yeah, sure
is playing the shallow zone and kind of lurks underneath to drop back to cover what seemed to be open Mark Andrews at the time, who was basically like faced up in like a zone killer type of route where you just kind of find the hole and face up. The Ravens do it a ton. And Lamar picks probably the absolute worst time in his career thus far to throw his first red zone interception. And the young man from like Weber State, Taron Johnson, has the wherewithal to take it 101 yards to the hizzy. So the Ravens, at the very least, Justin Tucker's woes for the night aside, were about to make it 10-6. And instead, 17-3.
Brutal.
Super brutal. Have you seen any film this week from Taron Johnson's combine when he was coming out of college?
No, is that...
So
No.
He went viral for... There's a play that they make the corners do where they basically run in a straight line, and they have to catch a ball from this side, and then catch a ball from this side, and then catch a ball from this side, like all the way down a line for like 25 yards. Taron Johnson went internet famous in his combine because he looked the wrong way on one of those passes and got blasted in the back of the head. That's the guy that sealed the deal for the Bills against the Ravens in this game.
He pick-sixed the Steelers, too.
Yeah.
He's the reason that the Steelers lost to the Bills, basically, also. So, yeah.
So,
I feel your pain.
It's a tough look. The subsequent Ravens drive, Patrick McCarry snaps the ball to the moon. He had several bad snaps already in this game. One, which Lamar turned into an incompletion, where I'm pretty sure he's the only quarterback on the planet that could have salvaged that play for no gain. Maybe Russ or Kyler.
Maybe, yeah. I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, if this was the Steelers, well,
yeah,
we saw
it would have looked like the
it's
first play.
touchdown.
Yeah,
it's a touchdown for the other team, is what it is. Like that. So, I was about to vote for Lamar for MVP this year when he made that play. Like I was ready.
He also had a pick on a snap on a run play where he like had to like reach up and one hand it and pull it back down and still made the handoff on time. So like Lamar was making chicken salad with chicken shit for sure on a couple snaps in this game, and he just wasn't
this play though.
Wasn't able to salvage this one. So he did get the ball off intentional grounding on like the 1 yard line, and
Dude,
rocked the back of his head onto the ground. Left the game to be evaluated for a concussion, and then it was the Tyler Huntley show. And so the Ravens traded some punts until like 5-ish minutes left, I think, in the game. And Tyler Huntley led us on a little drive. and it was pretty sick. And the Ravens were cruising, and I think it was on the fourth down. J.K.
Fourth and
Dobbins
8.
makes
Oh,
a
never
really
mind.
terrible drop,
Uh,
a horrendous drop. He made a third down drop in the beginning of the game, also. That would have
dude,
been a
that
first down.
play, I can't believe you skipped that because Lamar did the Hall of Fame highlight reel
Oh
stuff,
yeah, yep,
but he got the offensive interior line got backed up into him, and he bounced to the his left, and the tackle had gotten backed up, so he bounced off the tackle and went to the right, and the right tackle was even more out of position. He bounced off that tackle, and then he's and he shoots kind of in between the guard and the tackle and
yeah,
throws a ball into Dobbins' belly. It was some of the stuff Lamar did in this game was actual magic. And the fact that it ended in an incompletion off of his belly button, it made me laugh so hard.
dude,
But if it makes you feel any better, I think he made the all rookie team.
sick. I know Patrick Queen did, but anyways,
Yeah, there you go, Patrick Queen.
um, the Ravens also had like the ballsy the ballsiest play of their season with Tyler Huntley as quarterback, which I mean, maybe it's not so ballsy. You have absolutely nothing to lose down 14 in the fourth quarter with a fourth string quarterback, but just airmailed Hollywood Brown, who
Dude,
not too
fourth
many
down
people,
play.
not too many. It doesn't happen a lot that Trey Davis White gets torched on any type of route, because he's very, very good. But holy shit, he got fucking torched. And Hollywood's one of those guys where once he is open, if he's able to just run, he is fast enough that you're not gonna close on him if you can't touch him and tug tug your way back into the play.
And also, if you just put any amount of air under the ball, he'll
Just let him go get
find it.
Yeah,
He can run as fast as a
forever.
ball that's
Yeah.
thrown high enough. But when it's real windy and you're trying to keep things under control and you put it a little, you're trying to cut it through that,
Yeah.
you are capable of overthrowing him, and sure happened that play.
You're all hopped up on smelling salts. Just whatever. Tyler Huntley did the old Uncle Rico and fucking threw it over the mountains, and that was the end of that drive. What would have been a touchdown with a good bit of time left. I think there probably would have been 3.5 or 4 minutes left.
That was at 7 minutes left. I actually wrote that down because I was like, "Ooh, that matters."
Yeah, that definitely mattered. And
of course the Bills missed the field goal.
yeah,
on
it
the
was a
ensuing
longer
drive.
one though. I think that was the longest miss of all the missed field goals. I think there were 4 missed field goals in the game. The Bills and Ravens both missed 2.
Yeah. I had that the 4th and 8 was from their own 30. So if I said the Bills gained a little bit, so it was probably a long 46, 47-yard field goal.
Yeah. So
Something like that.
final score 17-3. Hate to see it. Post game interview with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs just being absolutely fucking adorable with their bromance they have for each other. And I have a special place in my heart for Stephon Diggs because he's the best professional player to come out of Maryland in possibly ever. I wasn't alive for Boomer Esiason, so yeah. And yeah,
You were alive.
that ends. I wasn't a coherent football fan for Boomer Esiason. Plus, he hates the Ravens, so fuck that guy.
So here's a question for you. The 17-3 score kind of leads you to believe it's a plodding, slow suffocation. But really, as we discussed, this game basically went from anybody's game to over in 3 drives. to
Yeah.
start the second
In
half.
a quarter.
So
Yeah.
so emotionally, because we're gonna talk about this again with the next game, like to have it snap like that. Do you think that that's the worst way to lose, or would you rather lose like the Steelers lost, where you like get blown out of the water and like maybe you get to think you could compete for like a couple minutes, but you really never had much of a chance to begin with? Or what's your
Yeah.
favorite way to lose
I
in
think
heartbreaking playoff fashion?
I think for me, so for me it was similar to the Steelers, not to the same degree, but like when the pick six happened, I was like, I kind of knew it was like even with Lamar, like yeah, sure, anything can happen, but like that's a 14-point deficit. We haven't ever seen Lamar do this, you know. Um,
Yeah, and he was doing cool things, but the team itself,
yeah,
even with him, had
yeah,
put up 3 points and was not really
right.
succeeding.
And and then he very abruptly got knocked out of the game, and so it was like, oh well, this is fucking over. And for
Yeah.
just a moment, even after the fourth down miss, the Ravens defense kept stepping up and getting the ball back. I think the Ravens had the ball back twice after that missed fourth down to Hollywood,
Hmm.
and so like they had the possessions, and the first possession was deep in the red zone. So there was a moment during that first drive after the Hollywood miss when we were driving in the red zone, and like Huntley was getting in a little bit of a rhythm with the short passes and like making shit happen with his feet. And I was like, woo, like things things could get interesting if they score there. And then they didn't, and then I knew it was
Yeah.
over. But there was a moment like after we were in their territory on the drive that ended on fourth down in the red zone with Huntley, where I was like, eh, eh, maybe, but
Yeah, Dobbins definitely gets the dunce hat of the match. He dropped a third down pass on that drive too. That final kind of red zone effort
yeah.
from Huntley. Um, he's a good player, but wasn't his day, that's for sure. Well, you got any final thoughts as we say goodbye to our Ravens?
Uh, no, the defense is mostly intact. Um, I don't know, man. Pay Corey Davis, Corey Brown, whichever one's the good one for the Titans and not the bad one for the Browns. Whatever he wants, just pay the man and get him in Baltimore.
Oh, you on the Ravens?
Yeah,
So, and you're saying pay him and then move Boykin out of the starting lineup? Is that your principal concept here?
yeah. I mean,
What do you think he's gonna?
almost any veteran receiver is going to be a better option than Boykin, I think.
What do you think they're gonna do? Like what do you think they're gonna do that Lamar is gonna take advantage of?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean Lamar
I
has to
don't
get
either.
better
And
too. Lamar
like
has to develop as a drop back passer. Like he has to. He has to. Like you just have to.
yeah, because I'm not like trying to be a dick here,
No,
but
no.
like Lamar already has an incredibly gifted pass catching target that takes advantage of the area of the field that he likes to throw to.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I think like all these Ravens players want really good receivers. It's like, dude, here's the thing. Like Marquise Brown drops some passes, but dude, he gets open. He's fast. He's fast.
He was
So
the best player on their offense this postseason. Like both
yeah.
games. Like
So like I don't think he's the problem. Like
mm-mm.
he's fine. And like what's the other guy gonna do? Like Boykin blocks like great.
Yeah.
So that's frankly what you want.
Yeah.
Like, I'm honestly a little worried that they're gonna like sign some free agent that's like hot shit, and that person isn't gonna want to do the stuff that they need the player to do most of the time.
Yeah.
How many targets is this player going to even get?
Yeah.
4, 6?
Yeah.
Like what?
And so with the projected cap right now, they're looking at like before any adjustments or restructures like 10 mil in cap space. So it's not going to be Allen Robinson. It's not going to be Julio. Like, it's not going to be like the very tip top. Like, Tim Patrick from Denver is a name that's floating around Ravens Twitter. That's intriguing. This is off-season stuff. We can shelf this for later. But yeah, the Ravens need to be better passing. I think at the end of the day, the defense held up their end of the bargain. The Ravens' run game was good, but like we've said, like when they have to pass and the defense knows they have to pass, they're just not good enough at executing. They entered the playoffs with the 32nd ranked pass offense in the NFL. And the Saints spent a month with Taysom Hill as their quarterback. So, like, yeah.
Not great.
Not great.
And credit to the Bills. They somehow figured out how to read all the crazy stuff the Ravens were doing and just win first down. Like after that first drive, they just dominated. I don't know what they did. The guy I listened to that did the analysis with the Ravens film study podcast, basically just said that they had a player that was accounting for each possible read. And the thing that pissed me off about that, and forgive me for talking about the Steelers, is that it reminded me of the Browns game but the opposite, where like the Steelers just got beat by every individual matchup and the Bills just seemed to win the individual matchups. Because if you have a player that's responsible for every part of the field, then like it's not like you're outnumbering the Ravens wherever they are doing the ball. So you just have to beat your block and make a tackle. So I guess that's what they're doing. So credit to them for just like really making it happen.
Yeah, they did
Well,
for sure.
On to heartbreak number 2. On Sunday, you don't consider this heartbreak?
Less expectations equals less heartbreak, I think, but that might just be the Baltimore homer in me.
I re-watched this game because I had to, because I didn't want to actually take notes while I watched him live. I wanted to enjoy it and just let it all wash over me. It was a little bit heartbreaking. It was.
I was viscerally angry for the Browns and about that fumble rule. Like, very angry.
Wait.
Lead the way.
Come on. Have a sense of drama, for God's sake. So, we don't like to hide anything. So the Chiefs win this game in a score that neither Joey nor I would predict it at all. 22-17, both a close game and a low-scoring game. And you wouldn't have thought it was going to be this way to watch the start of it. The Chiefs got the ball first. Let me see what I wrote down. It doesn't matter. They did whatever they wanted. Everything worked. Everything worked all the time. This is the story of every Chiefs drive I'm going to talk about for the whole first half. But they gave Tyreek ran the ball effectively this season, but not a ton. But you could see the Chiefs were going into a new gear, playoff gear. Yeah. Tyreek Hill had 2 runs, I think, just on the first drive of the game. One on like a reverse and one on like a jet sweep, basically the same effect. Darrell Williams, number 31. He's a running back we haven't talked about for a while because they've got the exciting rookie who was hurt, and then they signed Le'Veon Bell, who was just a big name but doesn't do much. Dude, Darrell Williams was pounding that rock. Every time you talk about a key Chiefs play or drive in this game, Darrell Williams is either the guy that made it or he's the guy that made the play beforehand that made this play possible. He was chugging. Game ball to Darrell Williams. Um, so they have a great little drive, and Mahomes finishes it with just. It's too bad the Browns didn't think they were going to win this game because it would have been more painful for them. But he just runs to the outside. BJ Goodson, he's like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him so good. He just like stops, lets him run by, jaunts his way into the end zone with that little Patrick Mahomes kind of like limpy strut jog thing he does. And you're just like, oh my God, this game is going to be such a blowout. 7-0. And did you have thoughts at this point? Did you turn the game off, or like
No, I didn't turn the game off. I'm glad you brought up his little like strut, because this might be like the upset of the week for me, how I feel about the Bills. And I am starting to be a little irked by Patrick Mahomes. Like, his play is great. Like, whoopee doo dah, he's fantastic. But he's a big time complainer. And it's a little reminiscent of like prime Peyton almost, where like Peyton Manning had such a good grasp of what's going on, and this isn't why Patrick Mahomes is this way, but Peyton had such a good grasp of what was going on and what was going to happen, that like he knew when like penalties were going to happen basically, and like how to take advantage of them. And Patrick Mahomes sure does like to whine about penalties that he's not getting. It's on my radar. He's starting to get on my nerves a little bit. It's a little pretentious.
Oh, okay. Joey's upset with Patrick Mahomes. That's going to make you popular with NFL fans in general.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? I respect you for being on the leading edge of basically the wrong side of history, because being on the leading edge makes you a leader, Joey. So that's what we like in the AFC North.
Says the guy that despises Tom Brady.
Everybody despises Tom Brady. Except for the people that live within 200 miles of me and closer.
Yeah, except everyone around you.
So, yeah. Everybody hates him except for all of my perceivable world, particularly in this pandemic. Moving on. So you think the Browns are just like haymakered from the outset. But dude, who answers the call on a screenplay but the lost but not forgotten third tight end? He's not Austin Hooper of exciting massive contract fame. He's not even Harrison Bryant of sweet overachieving rookie fame. It's David Njoku of you need to hit the jugs
Get
machine
on the jugs
fame.
machine, yeah.
And he gets that screen pass and he rumbles down the field for like 35 yards, and already 2 plays into their drive, Browns are past midfield, and you're like, dang, this is going to be a shootout. This is great. But it ends in a field goal. But that's okay, because the Chiefs missed their extra point, because everybody's missing kicks this weekend. So it's
that was a doink
3-6.
too. Like, Butker doinked that one.
Yeah.
Both of Tucker's, by the way, both of Tucker's misses were doinks.
Mm-hmm.
And they do like the ball tracking stuff now with like the little dots over the field that you can see. The first one somehow, pardon my tangent, doinks the left upright, crosses over the goalpost, and then comes out. The center of the ball was inside the goal and then landed out.
Wouldn't that make it a good field goal?
No, because it landed,
or does
it came back out in front of the right goalpost.
This sounds like a Seinfeld Magic Loogie situation. I'm just gonna move on. I'm just gonna move on.
That's probably
sometimes when you're when you're a fan of something, you need to believe in some stuff. And this sounds like one of those little places that you need that in your lockbox.
I'm gonna
Like
find that
that field goal
analysis
was
and put
good.
it on the page, just so everybody knows what I'm
Perfect.
talking about.
I'm sure that that will basically take our readership to the next level. Um,
Skyrocket.
so the Chiefs get the ball back and continue to do things that seem simple for absurd amounts of yards, like a shovel pass to Nicole Hardman that the Steelers run 3 times a game for an average of zero point 0.9 yards. And this was Nicole Hardman. So it was 30, just 30-yard shovel pass. NBD is what they would say on Twitter. That's a kid
Mm-hmm.
speaking. And this drive was really fun, probably especially for Browns fans, because as we've said on this podcast all year, if Miles Garrett and Denzel Ward aren't doing huge things, this defense is a heaping pile of stinky trash. And on this play, if you're really watching closely, Denzel Ward is lined up against Travis Kelsey, and it's like 2nd and 19, I think. Yeah, 2nd and 19 from like the 22-yard line. And you're like, well, if someone's going to guard Travis Kelsey, Denzel Ward, I like this. Well, Travis Kelsey fakes a little out move, and Denzel Ward falls in the sewer, and he leaves him 7 yards behind.
Mm.
And then he jumps over 2 people, one of which is his teammate, for a touchdown. So basically, your best player, who is designed to match speed and agility on a strong, big player, can't handle that player's speed and agility. Like Travis Kelsey's supposed to be trying to body up Denzel Ward, not shake and bake him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, too bad. He did that. So 13-3 Chiefs because they hit the extra point. I'm thinking, wow,
Oof.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. I, w- I wish that Justin was here so we could talk about Denzel Ward falling down with him. Like, this is your best player. I think it was just loose grass on second watch. But look, that's why they all fall. That's why they all fall, right? It's a little loose patch. It makes you look like an idiot. And boy, he just got embarrassed. And then it just turned into a mess. Um, did you want to talk about drive stuff that didn't score? Mayfield had a sweet pass to Peoples Jones. He had a really good game. Mayfield played really well. Um, we talked about this. Like, if he can know what's going to happen, and this is why I don't think I should have said this like 6 weeks ago or last year, and maybe I did, but I don't remember. I'm a believer in Baker Mayfield. I think he's great, and I'm going to tell you why right now. In this game, and we've talked about it, if he can do his 5 steps and he can look and throw the ball where he wants to throw it, he has as good of an arm and as accurate of an arm as anyone.
Yeah.
As anyone that's playing the game right now. Now, he can't do it off platform, as they say, or at weird angles like Mahomes. But if he knows what's about to happen and has a vision of it, he is going to put the ball exactly where it needs to be. So at first, when we talked about this, I always said, oh, it has to be Baker's first read or maybe second. And I think that that might be the case right now. But then I thought about other players that compare to him, and it's Tom Brady, right? Like, Tom Brady takes his step back, and then he knows where everybody is, and he puts the ball right where it needs to be. But here's the thing, that's probably not always Tom Brady's first read, is it? It's just that he knows where everybody's supposed to be, so at the right time, he knows that person's going to be open. That's what is going to happen with Baker Mayfield if he gets to keep the same coach for more than a year. Like, this was his
Yeah.
first year in the system. If they just keep expanding this playbook, he's going to be able to see that field and not always depend on his first read being open. He'll know which read is going to be open, but he can still use his timing and his precision to make that good pass. And where his development was in this game, I thought he had a really great game. So he hit Peoples Jones on like a precision little teardrop sideline pass. It ended in a punt. And the best part about the next Kansas City drive, in my opinion, was that like a Chiefs penalty or maybe a sack. No, it's two penalties. They had second down and 23, which is where you're like lining up, right? You're Miles Garrett, you're a little bit injured, you're only really putting full effort on like real passing downs. You're like, okay, I got this. This is great. Easy hit to Tyreek, 12 yards on second and 23. So, well, okay, third and 10. This is our time. This is our time. Patrick Mahomes scrambles for 13 yards. Bam. And it's just like, dude, what?
Yeah.
What? Have you ever watched Patrick Mahomes jog? He has the weirdest, like, they were talking about his toe being hurt in this game. That's just how he runs when he's jogging. He looks like he's injured
Yeah,
or
it
he's got a
is
stick in his
weird.
butt or something. Like, um, it's just like so frustrating. You're not allowed to be able to run for 15 yards when you can throw the ball anywhere you want, underhanded, sidearm, over the top, whatever. It's exhausting. It's not fair. So the Browns actually held him to a field goal, but bam, it's 16-3, and you're just like, dude, are the Chiefs ever not going to score? You're like, dude, even if they kick field goals, they're still going to get to 30 points at this rate.
Yeah.
This is a mess. And I'm just thinking, like, dude, this game is so over. Like, I wish I was taking notes because I'm not even that into it anymore. Like, I could just be getting this over with. I'm gonna have to watch this again. And then there's a 2-minute drive. Do you remember the 2-minute drive at the end? How the half ended? Trying to look at this.
Mm.
Oh shit. Yes. So this was the drive, right? This was the end of the second half. So they
Yep.
hit Njoku and Higgins both get a couple of nice catches. Njoku, we're not going to talk about him a lot because we're skirting, but he was like the Williams of the Chiefs. Like behind every big drive was like two 12-yard Njoku catches. He was everywhere. The Browns get into Chiefs territory. Sorry. It's this brown ale. It's getting to me. And Higgins, I don't know what defense the Chiefs were running, but Higgins gets to like the 5-yard line, and there's two Chiefs defenders on like the 11-yard line, and then a safety just like running like his butt's on fire from the end zone. I don't know what kind of drop zone that was, but Higgins was open. He catches the ball, turns to his outside from the 5-yard line, takes 2 steps. This is Hollywood Higgins, in my opinion, right now. Hollywood Higgins lunges for the pylon. Chris Sorensen delivers the wrath of God, and he fumbles the ball out of the end zone. So it's 16-3. It was about to be 16-10. If you're not familiar with the NFL rules, you probably don't listen to this podcast. But that gives the ball back to the Chiefs instead of basically guaranteed points and more than likely a touchdown for the Browns. Thoughts?
I mean, the rule has to change. And a little like side note is like I understand that some helmet to helmet contact is incidental, and I'm even okay with that. But it's also a penalty to lead with the crown of your helmet. And Sorensen put the crown of his helmet like right on Rashard Higgins' ear hole and like rocked him. That was like the only contact that their two bodies made. But that's not reviewable, and it didn't get called on the field, and it's a bang bang play, and I'm fine with it. The end zone is the only place on the whole football field where if the ball is fumbled out of it, like the defense doesn't have to recover the ball to get possession changed over. It's absurd. Like you're taking a defense that just allowed a score effectively, and you're rewarding them by giving their offense the ball at the 20-yard line. It's insane. It's abhorrent.
I knew you were gonna bring this, and it made me so sad and yet so happy at the same time. So here's two things. One, the first thing I said after this play was, wow, it looked like Chris Sorensen smashed his face with his face. And
Yeah.
then on slow motion replays, I was like,
Confirmed.
wow,
Yeah.
he really did. Now, I don't think that he did that on purpose. Like he was
No.
lunging for a spot, right? Like when you're taking an angle, you pick a spot, and when it's at the goal line, like it's just right before the pylon. So he's just diving at full speed for the space before the pylon.
Yep.
So hitting him in the head was bad luck. You can even see Sorensen has his arm tucked, like safeties that use poor tackling technique. They tuck in their arm so that their shoulder doesn't dislocate when they smash into people. And he's doing that, right? He's trying to do it. But your head, unlike most turtles, cannot go behind your shoulder. And so it smashed him. It smashed him right in the face. And it should have been a penalty. But as you said, under the rules, it wasn't. Now, as far as the fumbling through the end zone rule,
Oh,
Joey,
is this
you're
going
a
to be a
Ravens
thing?
fan, right? Joey, you're a Ravens fan,
Yeah.
right? You love good Don't you love good defense?
Yeah.
Do you love good? Right. Okay. Here's the thing. The NFL has done everything in its power to take away defense and its capacity to do things well. You want to talk about fairness? You want to talk about fairness in the rules? There's no rule in the NFL that gives defenders a fighting chance except this one. Give them one thing. I don't
No,
care
get
about
out of here.
fairness, Joey. I don't give a shit about fairness. I'll tell you right now, this is the one opportunity defenses have, and I love it. I love that it's not fair. I'm on offense. It's not fair. People don't even get to touch me anymore. But now they still get to touch me a little at the goal line, and if I drop it, I have to pay the price. Yeah, you have to
Okay.
pay the price.
Okay. Then be consistent. If the offense ever fumbles it out of bounds, the fucking other team gets the ball.
Love
Be
it.
consistent.
But they won't do
At
that.
least just make it consistent. Why won't they do that? Because it doesn't make fucking sense at all.
They won't do it because the rule came from rugby, which I heard on the Browns Daily podcast. So it's just a rugby rule that crossed over. So it doesn't. They're not trying to think. They just took the rule. And of course, if they're going to be consistent, they're going to consistently give the advantage to the offense. So your little daisification, because you're a daisy now, because you have Lamar and he plays two-hand touch, is going to be complete because they're going to change the rule. Ravens fans don't like physical football anymore. They like Lamar football. I get it. I get what's going on with you. I just want you to understand that I see it. I see it and I see you. And I'm here for the rule.
You're not going to shame me off of my position. No
Dude.
matter how much you disparage the leading rushing attack in the NFL's brand of football by calling us soft.
Dude, it's all misdirection. It's smoke and mirrors. You're not the Browns. The Browns are the leading rushing. You're
Hardly.
some sort of weird.
They ran the ball like 20
mess.
times in this game. That's child's play. That happens in a quarter in the Ravens offense.
Yeah, how many runs did the Ravens have against the Bills, Joey?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, here we are. I'm just saying, sports aren't fair. Like, and most of the time, sports aren't fair in a way that makes more points happen. And this one little rule that still exists for now it's just not fair for the defense. And I love it. And I'll tell you the other thing that I love. Don frickin' Beebe. I don't even remember what year it was. Was it the 90 Super Bowl?
Who cares?
Was it the 90? Dude, against Dallas, Leon Lett rumbling down the field, showboating like he thinks he's hot shit, and Don Beebe, little guy, chases him down and punches that ball out of the end zone. I wouldn't change that for the world. I wouldn't change it for the world. You got to hustle back and make that play. That's glorious, glorious football consequence right there. I love it. I love it. I love Rashard Higgins. I'm sorry that he got concussed basically and knocked out, and I don't blame him for dropping the football. He got his temple imploded.
Yeah.
It was bad luck. It was bad luck, but I wouldn't change the rule. I don't want the rule to change. I like that there's consequences. I like that they're weird. I like that you have to think. Like that you have to, not everything just makes sense. Like you have to make decisions. Bill Belichick coaches his players. You only stretch on fourth down. I like that. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Chad would rather we just fucking try 11 guys out on each side and play 3D chess.
Physical 3D chess, not two hand touch. Ravens 3D chess. So anyway, that's pretty consequential. The Chiefs get the ball back, and there's about 2 minutes left. So naturally, they just march down the field in
Yeah.
like one of those minutes and get a field goal. I don't know that I had anything notably there. Just
No.
everything classically. I think I
Normal
actually
Chiefs
wrote
stuff.
Mahomes immediately throws 10-yard passes to every single one of their receivers and Williams in succession. And they get a field goal. So it's 19-3 at halftime. At which point my mother calls me and she's like, "You're not answering my texts." I was like, "I'm using my phone to stream the game because it's on." Am I admitting to crimes right now?
No, it's
I'm
on the
using my
NFL
phone
app,
to
right?
stream the game. Exactly, which is exactly what I was doing. And so I'm sorry. This is a ho-hum game. Congratulations, you're on the AFC Championship. And then everything changes. But not right away. But not right away. Because the third quarter starts. And this is one I'd really want to talk. Because the third quarter starts. Mayfield, this might be the second play of the drive, the opening drive of the second half. Mayfield gets flushed out of the pocket, and he starts doing Mayfield shit. He's directing traffic like one of those airplane people. But here's the problem. Everybody's watching him point. So he throws the ball to, what's his face? Landry. And Landry's like spotted up, like he's in his zone. But the problem is the play's broken down. So Mathau, is it Mathau?
Matthew?
Walter Mathau. Matthew, yeah. Walter Mathau, Tyler Matthew. Anyway, Honey Badger, that's what I should call him. He just jumps the route. He just jumps right in front of Landry and just goes running. Interception. Second play of the second half. And you're just like, oh boy. Oh, this is going to be a 45-9 game at this point. This is what we're looking at here. On second watch of that, for the record, I said Baker had a good game, and he did. And I think that Landry should have come back to the ball there. On a broken play, you don't pretend you're in a zone defense. Everybody's running, everybody's crashing. He was flat-footed, and I just don't think that just doesn't help your quarterback. So it is what it is. I'm not trying to, crazy demerits here, but Matthew made the great play. He jumped in front of him. But right after the moment of greatest despair, which is this moment, right, as a Browns fan, you're down 19-3, you come out in the second half, you've made your adjustments, immediate interception. You're just like, okay, we beat the Steelers. Good job, guys. Like, let's just try and shut down emotionally now before the game's over. That way we're handling it. We're processing everything before work tomorrow. But the Chiefs don't really do anything for the first time. And they miss the field goal. So there's no consequence. And that's when you're like, all right. Is that what Browns fans were thinking? Or were they still down 16 and thinking, well, it doesn't matter. It's still over. We haven't stopped anything from happening yet.
I don't think yet that they were like, all right, but they weren't like yet, but soon. Yeah. But they were. So you're saying there's a chance? That's where they still are right now.
Yeah, and this was a short field goal, so it's like a little bit of Browns luck maybe for the first time. You got to be feeling pretty unlucky so far as a Browns fan in this game. I guess I meant to look this up. Do you know if the Chiefs punted in this game? No, they didn't. I don't think they did. So here's what happens. They missed the field
goal, end of half, missed field goal, interception, end of game. Nope.
That's right. They didn't punt. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
So after this field goal, this is our weekly edition of Nick Chubb runs for 1,000,000 yards in a row twice. Like, he just comes like, dude, he'd been pretty well bottled up.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Kareem Hunt had a carry yet, which is ludicrous. The Browns were clearly off script if they're
Yeah, I
not giving
thought maybe
everybody
he
the
was
ball.
hurt for a while in this game. Like,
He sure was. Yeah, he sure wasn't
he was
once he
just
came
gone.
in. Um, they just didn't run enough plays, you know. They just, but Nick Chubb runs for like 15 yards, and they give him the ball back, and he runs for 10 or 15 again, and I don't know. It was like a total of 30 yards over 2 runs, and they're humming. And that's the only two plays that I highlighted in this drive, but it ended in a just a perfect Mayfield first read out route to Landry. Um, just a really nice throw. Like, Landry made a great move so that all the defenders that could have been in the throwing lane were actually inside, and he left. It was really nice. So now all of a sudden it's 19-10, and I have a question for you, Joey. Do you think that the Browns should have kicked the extra point to make it 19-10, or do you think they should have gone for the 2 point conversion to possibly make it 19-11?
Still the third quarter. Get the point.
Disagree. It's math. If you miss the extra point, you're down by 10. Who cares? Who cares about the point? The point has no value. Joey's shrugging right now for people that aren't going to watch the video. Look, Joey's defensive because I just called him a daisy and the Ravens. So that's fine. That's the type of conversations we're going to have for the rest of this, and I accept that. So the Browns get it to within 2 scores. That's their choice. It's the third quarter. Have a little bit of momentum. The Chiefs have missed a field goal. Browns have had a nice touchdown drive. Nick Chubb is doing the things that we know he's going to do. At least 1 point in the game. Every single game. He's so good. Then the Chiefs drive. They get to a 3rd and 1. And like any smart organization with something that's worth $500 million, which is half of $1 billion, on 3rd and 1, they run a QB option. And Mahomes, look, you watch wrestling. What happened to Mahomes on this play? There's got to be a name for it.
Yeah, he got like a pile driver.
Mahomes got a pile driver. That's coming from someone that knows, okay, people? He got a pile driver. It was very difficult for me to understand what happened because it didn't look like he really hit his head, but he definitely was grabbed around the head and contorted in a way where he got twisted a lot and went to the ground. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what I saw because when he tried to stand up, he basically fell over. So
Yeah.
he wasn't right.
Yeah.
That's the point here. And that was the last we would see of Patrick Mahomes, aka not Joey's favorite player anymore, aka Super Bowl MVP, aka probably the best player in the NFL. And all of a sudden, it's 19-10.
Now,
It's 4th and inches for
Browns fans.
right. And by the way, he didn't pick up the first down, so it's 4th and inches. And you've got one Chad Henne, aka I don't have any nicknames, coming in to play quarterback for the Chiefs. And you're thinking, all right, right? As a Browns fan, you're like, you don't want to celebrate this moment, but you're feeling pretty good. Right? You're feeling pretty good. Unfortunately, it's Andy Reid, so of course they go for it, even though they're on like their own 32-yard line. And Chad Henne sneaks for the first down. And then we just covered that they don't punt this drive. What happened after? Do you remember what happened this drive?
Was this the interception?
Yes. No. No. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. So they actually...
Field goal.
Was that the pitch to win? it was 4th and inches on midfield. I was wrong. It
Field
wasn't a
goal.
QB sneak. This was the sweet play call where they pitched it outside to Williams. Remember how we said Darrell Williams was a star in this game? So they fake the inside run, everybody crashes in, and he pitches it outside to Williams for like a big game. The Chiefs end up getting a field goal on that drive after another big run by Williams that gained like 10 or 12 yards, and then some other plays I didn't write down. 22-10, and you feel like, okay, the Chiefs needed that. Like, they needed that, just even though it doesn't change anything in terms of how many possessions, it's just like, okay, we got some points. We got a little more buffer, you know? And on the next drive, the Browns went full desperation mode. And this isn't even negative. It was great. They had a 4th and 1 on their own 35, went for it. Chubb, of course, he got it. Chubb doesn't, I mean, he averages like 5.5 yards per carry. So it's like, yes, you should just do that all the time. And then they go down the field. I didn't have anything for the middle of this drive that mattered, right? Who
Nope.
cares? They just go down the field. They get into the red zone, and Mayfield passes to Landry, who had a pretty quiet game, even though we keep bringing him up. Like, all of his catches were on like 3rd and 1 for 2 yards, it felt like, or a touchdown from the 3.
Yeah.
Well, this play, he literally just cradles the ball and pops out of his arms, like into the arms of Tyrann Mathieu,
Yeah.
who somehow doesn't catch it. And you're like, oh my God, that was it. That was the game right there. It was over. It was over. But, it takes crazy reflexes to make that play. And he didn't make it. And then on 4th and 2, Austin Hooper makes all 35 million or whatever guaranteed dollars he got to be a tight end in Cleveland, because
Yeah.
he had, I don't think I wrote down the player that was guarding him, but he was blanketed, and Baker Mayfield threw him an out route, and he had to throw it wide because Austin Hooper was covered, and Hooper dives with the defender all over him and somehow catches it, and he, like, I don't know how he didn't pin it to, I don't know. That's why he gets paid a lot of money. Converts the 4th and 2, and it's a shame that we don't talk about Kareem Hunt more in this game, because he just breaks like 3 tackles every time he runs the ball. But he scored the touchdown, and it's 22-17. And this game is legitimately freaking exciting. You're like, dude, it's 22-17. I don't think I have the time left in the game. Who cares? It's still the 3rd quarter, I think. That's when Patrick Mahomes went out, like middle of the 3rd quarter. 1-score game, 5-point game, just like you wanted on your little score chart, right, Kevin Stefanski? You didn't want to go for 2 there. You planned this 5-point deficit. It's just tense. It's tense. Tyreek Hill. Did you see Tyreek Hill push his coach?
Yeah. And then, like,
what was that about?
A little bit later, fucking the coach was like on just sitting next to him on the bench smiling. That's garbage.
The broadcast made it seem like it was a joke. I didn't really get it, but what I did get is this. Chad Henne comes out, and his plan, apparently from last week, was throw the ball to Tyreek Hill under all circumstances, no matter what. And Tyreek Hill literally just jumps over Denzel Ward and plucks this over-the-shoulder pass out of nowhere. And I was like, dude, this guy might be the best receiver in the NFL. He's like 5'7", and he just jumped over one of the best corners. And just like, dude, you're not supposed to be a little guy and do that sort of up-in-the-air contested stuff. That's not fair. It's not fair.
He's very, very good.
And we're all about fairness here. That's why we want to change that defense rule about fumbling in the end zone. We want things to be fair. So Tyreek Hill shouldn't be able to do that stuff. But he did. Unfortunately, that drive ended when Chad Henne did things that make you a backup with no nickname in the NFL. And after a penalty or whatever, yeah, it was some sort of penalty, 15-yarders, 1st and 25. He just airmails the ball into the end zone. And Carl Joseph catches it in his gut. Like, that's how uncontested this was. He literally backpedals in the end zone and catches it in his belly. And I was like, all right, I don't hate it, but could we do it on third down, not first down? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what? On first and 25, it wasn't even close to anyone. It was like horrifically bad throw. So now the Browns are still down by 5. They have the ball back, and at this point, there's like 8 minutes left in the game. It's and they haven't been stopped, right? Like the Browns are like Nick Chubb's running, everything's exciting. What is going to happen? I don't remember.
So the
Don't do
Browns,
anything.
the Browns drive stalls,
Yeah, they punt.
and they have to punt. And so the Chiefs get the ball back, and this is where shit gets crazy. So
it's about 4 minutes left. Yeah.
Yep, 4 minutes left. The Chiefs get the ball. They're kind of slowly short passes because they don't really like run a whole lot, and force Cleveland to start taking some timeouts around 3 minutes left. And so the 2-minute warning hits after Myles Garrett sacks Chad Henne on his own 35-yard line, Chad Henne's own 35-yard line, to set up a third and 14.
Jump back one play?
Of course.
It's important because our other game ball besides Darrell Williams is going to go to Tony Romo for pure acts of gorgeous enthusiasm under all circumstances. And the end of the game was really his peak moments, and he got fooled, and we're going to talk about the big one. But the first one actually came on the first down the Chiefs got in this drive. It was a swing pass to Darrell Williams, of course, but Tony Romo, before the snap, was like, okay, as a backup quarterback, you're going to be looking to your right because the Chiefs' 2 best players are out there. So Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were lined up to the right. What does Chad Henne do? He takes that shotgun snap. He kind of takes a look, and then the immediate swing pass to Darrell Williams for the big third down. Tony Romo, 0. Andy Reid, 1. Joey, go.
All right. So, 2-minute warning. 3rd and 14 on the Kansas City 35. The Browns are like, all right, we got a backup quarterback, a passing situation. Like, this is what we've worked all season for, right? You're in Arrowhead Stadium against the 1 seed, down 5 points. You just got to cover all these 5'8" guys that run 4.240s and Travis Kelce for inside of 14 yards, and we're good. And what the Browns did was they turned their back on, I don't have a nickname, Chad Henne. And Chad Henne made him pay. And Chad Henne rumbles, scoots even, for 13 yards to make it a 4th and 1. So the Browns are out of timeouts. You can remember this play happened right after the 2-minute warning. So the clock runs all the way down to 1 minute and 14 seconds when they snap. And everybody's thinking, oh, Andy Reid's just trying to pull these guys offside, and then he's going to punt it, this and that. They do like a hard count type of thing, and then a little bit of shifting on the offense.
Tony Romo quote in this moment: "There's no play. Look at the body language."
Oh, man. In fact, there was a play. And it was like bunch right, the little like sprint out play. The Chiefs run it all the time in short yardage. It's just a little sprint out. The Chiefs are one of these teams where, unlike most teams in the NFL, like, they don't give a fuck about the ball being in the air. Like, they're cool with it. Short yardage, they don't care. And they run this little sprint out to Tyreek Hill. It goes for 5 yards. And then it's just kneel the game away. Chad Henne in victory formation.
For the record, I'm not bringing this up because MJ Stewart had an interception on Ben Roethlisberger, but this poor kid, he is not a starting cornerback in the NFL, and he was on Tyreek on this play, and it should be known that Tyreek Hill didn't just sprint out. He took one or two steps towards Stewart, and then he took one quick step inside, and Stewart took about 9 back pedals to try to figure out what was going on. he was a solid 9 yards. If you took out the measuring sticks, he might not have been a first down from within.
He was shaking in his boots.
Tyreek. Yeah. And honestly, that might be a time. That might be a time when you have some sort of zone responsibilities there or something, because MJ Stewart probably shouldn't be on his own out there in the world. That's a pretty harsh dose of reality on a 3rd and 1. having Tyreek Hill as your job when you're a backup corner
in the playoffs,
game on the line. So Justin texted us. Those of you who have been around for a long time probably missed Justin's voice, and he said that he wished that the Browns got blown out. What do you think of that? Now having relived it.
I don't know. I think, like I said before we even started this, like, lack of expectations, like, I think you're all right with this close game. Like, you're the 7 seed, 6 seed. Yeah, 6 seed. I don't know. Six seed.
It was 6.
A 6 seed's never beaten a 1 seed in the NFL playoffs. Like, it's...
That's not true.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
2005 Steelers beat the Colts.
That was a 6-1 matchup.
I don't know.
All right.
I thought it was.
Maybe.
They were definitely a wild card. It could have been a 5, I guess. It could have been.
Anyways.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It was a 6.
Yeah, I mean, a 6-1 matchup, like, the Browns stumbled into the playoffs. And you can be like a fucking hardo and be like, oh, there's no such thing as moral victories. But, like, you took the 1 seed in the AFC, the defending champs, the first team since the Andy Reid Eagles to host 3 straight conference championship games, like, to the limit. And yeah, like, injuries are part of the game, like, shit didn't break your way in this game also at points. And so, yeah, I think for the Browns, you're building on something. I agree with you. Baker's good. Like, Baker's good. That's all there is to it. Like, he is a good quarterback, and they're going to be good. And they've got some shit to address on the defensive side of the ball. But they've got the core of their offense and, like, a lot to build on and look forward to. And finally, maybe some stability. They got a coach with a playoff win, so Haslam can't reasonably shit can him. And, yeah, things are going good. You're going in the right direction.
I equate this to Justin being used to a certain type of pain. So, like, as a Browns fan, he's gotten used to just being stomped on. And so that's the type of pain that he can kind of put in the background of his life. This is a new type of pain. This is like a paper cut. You only get them every once in a while. It doesn't feel like a major wound, but it just hurts a ton. Yeah, when the playoffs are stolen from you in such a sudden fashion in a dramatic way, and look, all 3 of us went through it this year, right? The Steelers' first quarter against the Browns was about as heartbreaking as it gets. The first 3 drives of the second half against the Bills, like everything that was possible was taken from you. Your
Yep.
unanimous MVP gone, like from the game. That's pretty dramatic, right? It
Yeah.
hurts. And Browns similar. The end of this game was really dramatic. The Browns, had some drives that mattered, and there were some big plays. There were some big swings. So it's a different kind of pain. And for that, I say congratulations, Justin. Welcome. Welcome to the club. This is good. This is the pain that you live for because every once in a while, when your team has a winning culture, you get a little bit lucky and you catch the breaks, and it's so special. And the other times you don't. And that's most of them. That's just most of them. So here's to a bright future for the Browns, in which they hopefully lose to the Steelers more than they win. But I thought that they had a really nice season and they're a good team.
Yeah. They sure did.
And that's it. The best division in football has been renamed the deepest division in football. But they're done. There will be no Lombardi trophies added to the AFC North closet or trophy case. So what do we do now, Joey? What do we do here at the AFC North cast?
Well, it's time to give out some awards. So we will be back with
Yeah.
our more than likely our final like weekly episode next week, and we're gonna hand out some hardware, ladies and gentlemen. Um, we're gonna give some awards out. We're gonna name our all AFC North team. We're gonna have some banter, and we're gonna celebrate a pretty damn good division. Um,
Darn
even
tootin'.
even the last place team, the cellar dweller of our division, has a lot of things to be hopeful about and happy about from this season, and should be pretty interesting. So,
And if Joey and I are on our A game, I'm going to bring you some beautiful moments, which I'm going to try and ruin by explaining verbally. And Joey's going to bring you some sweet numbers that he read off a table. And I'm going to, it's going to be a beautiful thing when we do our AFC North team. And who knows, maybe we'll get, if Justin's not here, maybe we'll at least get his votes. He could be like a tiebreaker or something.
yeah,
If we can't agree.
I might
So-
even find a way to talk about passing efficiency. So, buckle in.
I can't wait. I want decimals all the way out to the sound.
DVOA. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Just make sure that you're prepared to tell me what all the letters mean when you start doing these statistics.
I
Because
will.
I don't want you to be embarrassed on the internet.
Deal.
I just will be.
It won't be the first time. All right, everybody. Have an awesome week. Join us next week for effectively our season finale. And we will see you soon.